Indians believe in Atiti Devo Bhava, which literally means guest is God. They can give you the type of privilege, respect and attention that you may not experience in your own country. But does it mean that foreigners should also be allowed to abuse the system in their very country which makes them feel so special? Yes, there are occasions when foreigners cross all limits and take advantage of the genuine Indian hospitality to do things which are simply unimaginable. There are many articles as well as videos that provide information to foreigners on how to avoid getting scammed in India. But how about the protection of Indians from those foreigners who come to their country to scam them out of their money or cause them harm? Isn't it fair to say that Indians should also be cautioned? Even though taking pictures or videos of someone without their permission is considered to be offensive by most, many Western tourists frequently take photos and videos of poor people in India without having their permission to do so. Oftentimes, these tourists carry around selfie sticks when walking around the slums and the more impoverished areas. Such tourists need to take into consideration how they would feel if an Indian visited a poor part of their country and filmed the people there without permission. Just because many Indians are camera-friendly doesn't mean they should be taken advantage of by having their privacy invaded. Remember, for you that could be a slum, but for those Indians, it's their home. Something else to remember is that just because something doesn't look very valuable to you, doesn't mean it isn't. Just one example of this is the real estate in India. Buying a house in a middle-class city in India could cost even more than what it does across many European countries. Oftentimes, real estate properties in India do not look very fancy, but are pretty expensive. It is common for many foreigners to be insensitive towards local customs and religions in India. I've even witnessed young foreigners kissing inside the Akshardham temple and foreigner women that go topless or even nude at the beaches in India, which are meant for families to enjoy. Isn't this disrespectful to the people of India and their way of life? It's not completely uncommon in India for visa rules to be violated by foreigners. Many foreigners even go to areas that they know the Indians are denied access to by the local enforcement. One instance of this happening was when John Allen Shaw, an American national, breached every rule that he possibly could to convert the Aboriginal tribes of the Andaman and Nicobar Islands in India. His goal was for the ancient Indian tribe to leave behind their cultural foundation and convert to Christianity. He even called the island Satan's last stronghold in one of his diary entries. In India, tourists are also frequently apprehended by law enforcement for either doing or selling drugs. And do you know that some foreigners visiting India are responsible for such heinous crimes that anyone would be worried for their safety? Not so long ago, a British man was arrested in Delhi for sexually assaulting blind children while working under the guise of being a charity worker. One of the worst acts committed by foreigners who visit India is abusing a child upon returning to their home country after adopting them from an Indian orphanage. An orphan who gets adopted hopes for a new home, a new start, and lots of affection from the adopter. However, that might not always be the case if the adopter is a pedophile from a rich Western nation. Do you know that in 2012, quite sensationally, the Russian president banned the adoption of Russian children by American citizens? On many occasions, children who are adopted from foreign nations are listed like commodities in America, and all this takes place quite openly. Americans are big on adopting foreign children. They have adopted nearly 243,000 children from other countries since the late 1990s. For most developing countries like India, when a potential adopter from a developed country like the USA shows interest in adopting an orphan, the local authorities tend to feel grateful. But no one knows exactly what is in store for the orphan child once he or she is sent away. In 2013, an investigation revealed chilling details of how foreign children who were once adopted from abroad were being listed online in the USA. Children who were adopted from countries like Russia, China, Ukraine, Ethiopia were listed. The investigation analyzed 5,029 such posts from a 5-year period. The youngest child who was listed was just 10 months old. Here is an example of such advertisement. On various occasions, children are victims of severe abuse. It is extremely important to mention that no authority tracks what happens after a child is brought to America, so no one knows how often international adoptions fail. The US government estimates that domestic adoptions in America fail at a rate ranging from about 10 to 25%. If international adoptions fail with about the same frequency, then more than 24,000 foreign adoptees are no longer with the parents who brought them to the United States. Are Indian authorities and Indian media even aware of this situation? On the other hand, in England, a British-born Indian couple faced racism and discrimination as they were denied the opportunity to adopt a white child in England because of their Indian background. This forced the British-born Indian couple to sue the Royal Borough of Windsor and Maidenhead Council for discrimination. And by the way, have you also wondered why white people are considered experts when more often than not, everybody else is considered an immigrant? Africans are immigrants, Arabs are immigrants, Asians are immigrants. However, Europeans are experts because they can't be at the same level as other ethnicities. In India, the Indian hospitality already begins at the friendly immigration counters of the Indian airports. I have seen how Indian immigration officers treat me, and I have seen how Indians are treated by the immigration officers in foreign countries. There is a massive difference. Well, India didn't colonize Europe. The fact is that European countries colonized India. Still, in general terms, Indians welcome Europeans better than how we Europeans welcome Indians. And going back a few years, should I also mention the humiliating virginity tests which were performed upon migrant Indian subcontinent women by the British immigration control officers? How many of us even know about it? Indians were looted, colonized and tortured by foreigners for many centuries. Still, global media outlets appear more concerned about whether foreigners are safe in India. Perhaps we could finally also start asking the question of whether Indians are safe from foreigners. After all, not all guests who visit India are gods. Hi, my name is Karolina Goswami. I was not born in India, but through my data-driven work and logical reasoning, I have worked tirelessly to improve the way Indians are perceived globally. As long as the global community is able to understand India's complex layers and become more accommodating for both Indians and India, which is also now my new home, I will continue to feel satisfied. Please come forward and support my mission financially. With your financial support, I will be able to achieve results faster. Remember, by spreading knowledge, we can combat those who spread hate. See you again.